Spec. I'm Mike.
And I'm Frank.
And today we have another one of our first drive videos. And Frank, what do we have today?
Today we're going to be driving this 1987 Chevrolet Corvette Convertible. Thanks to our friend Phil for loaning us his car to do this video. This 1987 Corvette is the C4 Corvette. Under the hood, 5.7 liter V8, producing 240 horsepower and 345 pound-feet of torque. That propelled this Corvette 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds with a quarter-mile time of just a little over 14 seconds and a top speed of 150 miles an hour. For 1987, they were really healthy numbers.
So what do you think about the exterior of the car?
Well, I like the styling. As the only one here who remembers when this car was new, these were cool cars new. They were sleek, very different from the C3 Corvettes, if you guys are familiar with those. You had these cool pop-up headlights. It was an exciting style. It looked slippery. It looked like a real race car. And I remember we were all excited when it first came out. And I still think today, in this colored blue, this is an exciting car. I like the exterior, and this one is super clean.
This is when they first started doing that look where it looked like a supercar, like a race car, instead of like the C3 and C2, where they look more like muscle cars.
Right. It's not as curvy as the previous model. The C3 had that big bubble over the hood here for the fenders. And this is more sleek, and it looks more aerodynamic. I would assume it is. But yeah, I just love the style. And I'm not a big convertible guy, but I think this car looks great as a convertible. I love the blue on blue.
The blue looks beautiful. It's a really nice color.
I would never have picked it, but I like it. The owner says he really thinks it's pretty cool. And I'm surprised it looks as good as it does, because I wouldn't have expected this.
Have you ever seen the headlights pop up?
Actually, I haven't. I've heard about them though. I think we should check them out.
They look a little odd. They don't go up like usually.
So the back end of the C4 Corvette, it's wide. It looks cool. I love this look. It makes it look like a real sports car. It's got these four iconic taillights that Corvette held onto until the C7, where they changed it to those square, kind of almost Lamborghini style lights. I love the quad exhaust pipes. It's a really cool car, but because it's a convertible, you have no trunk space at all. And the only thing back here that opens is the fuel cap, which I think is kind of cool in itself. So without a trunk, no storage. But I don't think that was the point. I don't think anybody buying a Corvette was buying it to take long trips.
It also has the flat bottom, like this flat bottom was all the way up to like C7, where it didn't have any curb, it was just kind of flat on the back of it.
Right, and that became an iconic look for the Corvette also. I think this car just kind of brought a lot of new styling into the Corvette, and I think it's a beautiful looking car. And again, I can't get over the paint. You know, this car's nearly 40 years old, and it still looks fantastic. All right, so the interior of the 1987 Corvette. Well, it's kind of cool. It's plain. It's not a big tech car, but that's kind of deceiving. You have a digital display on your dashboard, which is, I think, one of the earliest cars I've ever seen with something like that. And what I'm noticing is, if you look over here in this part of the screen, or this part of the dashboard, you'll see switches. You can change what you see on your display. And I think that's pretty tech for 87. This is long before the days of touchscreens in our cars and all that. The infotainment systems we're used to now were futuristic at this point. But I think it's a pretty cool looking interior. You have a basic radio in here. This is an aftermarket head unit because 87 it probably would have came with a cassette player. This car came with a 4-speed automatic transmission. It was also available with a 4-speed manual. It was called a 3-4 manual. It was made by Doug Nash. And how that worked is it had 3 overdrive gears. Now I don't really know how that worked, and I've never driven one. I hear they're not really much loved in the Corvette world, but if you have one of those cars and you're in the Philadelphia, South Jersey area, please drop us a line because we would love to check that car out. Thank you. Now moving on, we do have power window controls here, we have mirror controls, and we also have some little seat controls here which look kind of neat to me. I've never seen them like that. It's kind of an interesting little design here. Not too much else really to see in this car. It's pretty basic. It's pretty easy to kind of figure out your way around it. You do have your handbrake over here, which is kind of a strange spot for it. But when you have a sports car like this, that's where you're going to put it because you don't have room in the middle for it. But these are one of those where you can keep it on and then put it down so you don't hit your leg when you slide in. Kind of like Ferrari used for many, many years before this. So, other than that, I mean, blue on blue carpet, I think it looks pretty cool. It's a neat color combination. I can't get over it. I never thought I would like it. I think it looks pretty cool. I know Mike likes it. I hope you guys do too. So over here on the passenger side, there's not much to look at. The only thing you really have is this big pad here that says Corvette on it. When I first looked at this car, I thought this might be an airbag, but it would make no sense to have one here and you don't have one on the driver's side. So I guess it's just a cushion. Anyway, center console here, you have an ashtray and a cup holder. Remember in the 80s we did smoke in our cars still. And then we do have a center console here. It's kind of small, but you can fit your important papers back in there if you need to. Nowadays we put our smartphones in there, but when this car was new, well, you didn't have one to put in there, so you just probably put your wallet. And the only other storage we really have in this car is if you look underneath, behind the seats and underneath the convertible top, there's a little spot in there, and there's actually some straps in there where you can tie some stuff down. It doesn't look very easy to access, so I can't say this is a weekender, but I mean, I guess if you had like a soft bag or something, you could probably still get away with it. So, and if you had a coupe, you would have a little bit bigger opening back there because the glass would open up, and that one you could take away for a weekend trip. So with all that out of the way, let's do what we came here to do and go for a drive. Okay, so driving the Corvette, this is my first set of curbs. See what it feels like. Oh, nice. It's pretty smooth. It's got nice, I mean, I can't fly through here. There's a lot of people walking around, but at 40, 45 miles an hour on a corner, it feels really good right now. I'm kind of enjoying this. I'll tell you, she feels really stable on the road for an older car. And this is a perfect road for this car. It handles so well. Why would that bus pull out in front of me? I don't know. Anyway, it handles so well. It really feels good. This is a really nice handling car. Oh yeah. It's not very powerful. My daily drive is a little quicker than this, but it definitely feels good. It handles really nice. I mean, it really is nice acceleration. It's smooth. You know, for a night, I got to keep reminding myself this is almost 40 years old. But it rides, it's really smooth. I mean, on a straightaway, just cruising, it feels straight as it's no wobble at all. It feels really good.
So first time with the Corvette. Steering wheel is kind of tight. It's very nice. It feels very sporty. I didn't expect it from a little car. The throttle is it has very quick response. lie. It's very, it's kind of just a little bit soft, but sharp at the same time. Let's do a couple of turns. Feels like you drive straight. Very sharp, very responsive. Alright, here we go.
So that's going to be about it for the 1987 Corvette Convertible. We didn't get as much drive time as we wanted to. Time constraints on the weekends, sometimes we run out. But I think we had a good time with it. I really enjoyed driving this. So what did you think, Mike?
I had a lot of fun driving it. It's very sharp on the corners. It wasn't stiff, but it wasn't soft really. It was a good medium. It turned sharp on the corners. Throttle response was really good. It really was a lot of fun to drive. What do you think about it?
Well, I agree. I thought that handling was really, really nice. When you look at a car that's nearly 40 years old, I personally think about cars that kind of have a lot of body roll and they're creaky and you feel every little bump. We just didn't get that. Could that be just that this car is well maintained, or could that be C4 Corvettes in general? I don't know. We'd have to drive a lot more to really tell. Throttle response, I felt it was good. It's not a really, really fast car, especially by modern standards, but it was quick enough. I can see where you can have a lot of fun driving this car. I was really comfortable in it. I'm a little bit smaller than you, Mike. What did you feel like when you were driving?
It was comfortable. Seating position, seats go really low, so I was comfortable with that. That's how I drive. Getting in and out, it was a problem because it has that big pillar, like the frame, underneath the door. It's very high.
Thick door sill, yeah.
Yeah, so you gotta kind of like jump over it, and then since I sit so low, I gotta kind of sit under it almost. But after I sit in it, I was comfortable. I was okay with the power. You said it had 240 horsepower.
Yes.
That was enough for me to have fun. The only downside for me was the 4-speed. I feel like the gears were too high, and you lose a lot of power in the gears. But besides that, it's a 1987 Corvette, so comes with territory. But I still find it enjoyable to drive. It's really fun to drive.
Well, I mean, I agree. Automatic transmission is not the most exciting thing.
No.
But that was what we had. I would love to drive a 4-speed of the same car. For me, I was more concerned about the convertible top. It wasn't really windy. It wasn't noisy. I always think that you get in convertible and you're just going to have all this wind in your hair, and it would mess it up, and I couldn't have that. No, I'm just kidding. But it was relatively quiet. You had a little bit of a V8 rumble while you were driving.
Yeah, it was tamed.
Felt like I was driving a car that could be aggressive if you wanted to be. But no, I thought it was a nice drive, and I can see why somebody would want to keep one of these. And I mean, it's in fantastic shape. It was fun. I mean, for my first real drive in a Corvette in my entire life.
First Corvette also.
I really liked it.
I wish we had more time with it. I think we would have a lot more fun if we just had more time with it. It's just, you know, it is what it is, and I understand. But it was fun when it lasted.
Oh yeah, and you never know. We might get another shot at this car later in the future. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. And again, a big thanks to Phil for letting us come out and drive his car today. I guess the only real thing is give it a score.
Okay, all right. So, first Corvette I've ever driven. I haven't driven a lot of muscle cars, so I don't want to go too high. Leave room for other cars. I want to go 7, just because I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel no roll. And that's my main concern with American cars, whether it's sports cars or muscle cars. I always think it's going to have a lot of body roll. That wasn't the case with this. It was, when you go over bumps, it was kind of soft, but you can still throw it at a corner and it's not going to sway a lot. It's not a lot of body roll. So because of that, I think a 7. I think a 7 is good for me. You can be honest.
I'm being honest. I didn't think it was quite that good. Now, the suspension was fantastic. It really felt good. There was the subtleness of it, the fact that it wasn't jarring, I thought was really good. I was a little disappointed, and I kind of knew I was going to be a little disappointed with the power, but I don't think it's really the power. I think it is the transmission that kind of took a point away from me. At
higher RPMs, it moved, so that's why I say it's the transmission. Because when he revved high, you felt the power. It was moving the Corvette pretty easily, but at low RPM, that's when it was like a little slowish.
Comparing it to, I guess, all the cars I've driven in my lifetime, and I have driven cars that are older than this, I think a good solid 6.5. The convertible, but maybe taking a little away from it a little bit, maybe drive a coupe and see if I like it better. And that's my personal opinion. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine.
We should point out this is completely stock, completely OEM. Nothing has been upgraded, so it's not like we're saying that it handles better with better suspension. This is how it came in 1987, but it was well maintained.
Yeah, it's obviously it's a two-owner car, and the guy who Phil, who owns it now, has only had it a few months, so this is basically how he picked it up. And this was owned by one man his whole life. And the only reason he sold it because he bought a brand new Corvette. I'd love to get a go at that one too.
one day, one Corvette at a time. We'll get there. So we know what you think about the exterior and the engine and performance. What do you think about the interior?
Blue on blue.
It grows on you, doesn't it?
I wasn't crazy about it when I first looked at the car, but you know what? It kind of works. I think it is kind of cool. My biggest thing was getting in and out. I thought was going to be a problem. I was warned about it. I have a bad knee, so I thought it was going to be a problem, and it really wasn't. It was fairly comfortable to get in and out of. The seating position really is comfortable. It didn't look like it was going to be. Ergonomically, I thought it was just fine for me. Maybe if you're a bigger guy, maybe it's not as comfortable. But for me, I liked the interior. I thought the digital screens, even though they're old school compared to what we look at now, I thought they were kind of neat. It was kind of cool to see them.
I was surprised to see a 1987 car with digital display. It looks really good. I like the blue, but the blue only works on this Corvette for me because the paint job matches so well and it's so well maintained.
Oh yeah,
it just works for me that way.
It is just a clean car, and we're not trying to sell you anything. But if we were, we'd tell you to buy it.
No, this is a mint-condition Corvette C4. Yeah, like the interior. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good all around.
Yeah, all the way around, good car. So I think that's it.
Alright, so that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, please hit the like button.
And we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you guys.
Have a great day.
I thought you were back here. That's what you were telling me. You told me right here, and you walk up 3 steps.
Because it should be focused on me.
Well, no, it's just to make you look taller. Go ahead, step forward.
Da, 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 da. Oh, I gotta open this door.